All right, let's get right into it. We often think of Martin Luther King Jr. and Cesar Chavez as these two giants in their own separate worlds. One, the leader of the civil rights movement, the other, a champion for labor rights. But here's the thing, their paths were deeply, deeply connected. So today, we're going to explore just how Dr. King's philosophy and his tactics directly inspired and shaped one of America's greatest labor movements.
And we're kicking things off with this really powerful quote from Cesar Chavez himself. See, he wasn't just admiring Dr. King the dreamer, he was inspired by Dr. King the activist, the man who, as Chavez said, was fighting for change in a strong way. And that right there is the key to understanding this whole story.
So just for a little context, who was Cesar Chavez? Well, along with the incredible Dolores Huerta, he founded the United Farm Workers, the UFW. And he took on this immense challenge of organizing tens of thousands of farm workers who were, some of the most exploited people in the entire country. This was a massive, massive undertaking.
And this really gets to the heart of it. For Chavez, his struggle wasn't just like Dr. King's. In his mind, it was the exact same struggle. He believed that the fundamental fight against inhumanity was identical. It didn't matter if it was happening in the cities of Alabama or the fields of California.
Yeah, look at how Chavez framed this himself. He said, inhumanity was shown at Selma and in Birmingham. The same inhumanity is shown every day in the fields where grapes are grown in California. So for him, racial injustice and economic injustice, they were just two heads of the very same monster.
And he did not mince words, at all. Chavez directly called the conditions that farm workers were facing a system of slavery. I mean, think about that. That is an incredibly powerful and deliberate choice of words, right? It was meant to shock people, to make them see just how bad the exploitation really was.
And listen, this wasn't just talk. This was the brutal reality of their day-to-day lives. We're talking about backbreaking work under a scorching sun for hours and hours. Often, they didn't have safe drinking water or even a place to go to the restroom. On top of all that, you have constant threats from supervisors. You start to see why he used a word as strong as slavery.
So, you're facing this incredibly brutal system. What do? Well, Chavez looked directly at Dr. King's playbook. He adopted the philosophy of nonviolence, not because it was passive or weak, but because he saw it as the ultimate source of strength.
You see, Chavez totally got what Dr. King was teaching, that nonviolence is an active, strategic force. He called it an unstoppable power. This isn't about just sitting back and taking abuse. Oh no, it's about creatively and actively resisting in a way that captures the moral high ground, a way that brute force just can't defeat.
And this right here, this quote is the core principle. It's a lesson from Dr. King that Chavez would repeat over and over. The idea is to confront the hate and the injustice of the system not with more hate, but with this disciplined, organized love for humanity that simply refuses to be broken.
Okay, but how do you actually turn a powerful philosophy like nonviolence into action on the ground? Well, this brings us to a key tactic. One of the most brilliant tools that both of these leaders used was the boycott. It literally turned everyday people into soldiers for justice right from their own homes. And the parallel here is just perfect. You have Dr. King and the activists in Montgomery hitting the city's bus system where it hurts, financially, to fight segregation. Chavez and the UFW took that exact same logic and applied it to California grapes. They asked millions of Americans to stop buying them to protest dangerous pesticides and awful working conditions. Different battlefield, same economic weapon. So how does this actually work? Well, it's pretty brilliant in its simplicity. First, you organize. Then, you ask the public for their support. You appeal to their conscience. That leads to the company losing money. And finally, that financial pressure, it forces them to come to the negotiating table. It's a way to empower absolutely everyone to join the fight just by making a simple choice at the grocery store.
But of course, when you have a tool that's this powerful, it's never going to go unchallenged. Both movements faced incredible, powerful resistance, which leads us to the final piece of their shared story, their legacy of sheer perseverance.
The grape growers, just like the segregationists down south, they had it all. They had the money, they had political power, they had friends in high places. Chavez pointed out that they used scare tactics, they spread lies, and they had powerful allies, from the governor's office all the way up to the White House.
And this, right here, is where that inspiration just shines through so clearly. It's so powerful. Chavez looked at the immense opposition he was facing. He looked back at everything Dr. King endured, and he drew strength from it. He was basically saying,
hey, if all that couldn't stop him, there's no way it's going to stop us.
I mean, that is just the ultimate statement of faith in your cause, isn't it? It's this deep belief in momentum. It's the idea that once you open people's eyes to an injustice and you show them a way to fix it, you unleash this force that just builds on itself, and eventually it becomes unstoppable.
Which, of course, leaves us with a pretty big question for today. Both Dr. King and Cesar Chavez built their entire movements on this fundamental idea that individuals, when they come together, have incredible power. Whether it's choosing not to ride a bus or not to buy a bunch of grapes, they believed every single person could be an agent for change. So, what does that mean for us, right here, right now?
And we're going to end here with Chavez's ultimate tribute, because this is really the final lesson. A dream, no matter how beautiful it is still just a dream. It was Dr. King's faith, his love for justice, and maybe most importantly, his unwavering commitment to act on that dream that changed the world, and that inspired so many others like Cesar Chavez to do the exact same thing.